And we're live.
Hey, hey.
Hello,
Hi,
gentlemen.
everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome back to BLOGCHAT. It must be Tuesday night.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah,
It was
Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday in this house.
It's Tuesday.
Us too.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I had leftovers. No. But moving on to more interesting things.
What a segue.
What a segue. Hello, folks. Hi, everybody. We have some regulars checking in. Steve, thank you so much for
Hey, Steve.
always saying hello. And Jay.
Hey, Jay. Oh, sunny Bahamas. Lucky.
Yeah. Bitter cold Chicago. And Sue, thank you all from Idaho. Wonderful. Wow. This is great. So thanks for checking in with us, everybody. We have something new to talk about. And yeah, I guess I'm going to kick off by saying, Chris, what is it and why did we do it?
Well, it's a gear blog, and we've been talking about this since our beginning, right? About doing a gear blog. And Matt, you were really high on this idea. I mean, to the point where I think if you weren't so high on it, it wouldn't have happened.
That's my fault.
It's your fault, yeah.
My fault. No.
So, like, what made you so excited? I mean, why did you think this was important for us to do?
Well, my thought was this: our blog is teaching, right? It's not like gear, it's not stuff. But the things that we do require objects to do it, right? And those objects are gear. You know, we need stuff to do the things that we do. That's the technical way of explaining it, right? So rather than let me use a strong word, rather than pollute the blog, which is education first, we decided to make a separate section that's just focused on gear, and then put these. And you came up with the structure of the post, which I really love, about what we're explaining about this gear. And it's just, they're not advertisements at all. There are insights about what the gear does well, and why you might consider it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a really important distinction of what we're doing. Like, we don't want to say this is we don't want to be like, well, this is a good piece of gear and that's a bad piece of gear. That's not what this is about. It's not about reviewing whether something is valuable. Like, we're really only taking a look at valuable stuff.
Yeah.
But that said, this is a great flashlight, but it might not be for everybody. So that's what we really want to cover, is we want to say, why is this great and who would find it useful, right? Because the things that Lance loves about this flashlight, and he's going to talk about it a little bit, might be things that aren't that. Oh yeah, this is the wrong model. This is not the work. But the point is that even though a piece of gear might have some great features, those features might not matter to somebody and how they work, right? So a great piece of gear to one person might just be something that sits in the closet for somebody else. So that's what we want to get at with these reviews is, here's a good piece of equipment and here's why, and here's who would find it useful. And if you're not in that category, maybe we have a suggestion for something else to look at.
Right. So since this is called BLOGCHAT, we announced this on the blog, the educational blog. So there is a blog post on our regular blog called Digging Gear, announcing a brand new blog to help solve your night photography problems. And a lot of the things we just talked about are included here. And by the way, it's a really nice graphic, Chris. You guys aren't really seeing my screen change, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Is it changing?
It's not changing. Well, I guess I'm going to need to stop sharing my screen and start it again because I had a little critical fail there. All right, so now when I scroll down, you guys should see it. You don't see it, do you?
Don't see it.
No,
Wow.
not scrolling.
That's wonderful. I'm so excited about this. Maybe one of you guys want to share your screen. Sorry about that. Cue it up. We shared it before, and this stuff's totally fine. It works, So
I'm working on it.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'm going to post it up to everybody who might not be familiar about it. I'm going to post it up in the chat here so people can go visit it. And if you're seeing this as a replay, the link will be there in the chat as a comment. So, So yeah, as Lance is queuing this up, so we announced it on our blog, but then we created a separate section on our website where all of these things will live.
Right. So, and this is, it's going to be as we come across stuff we want to write about. Right. So we're not going to force this. You're not going to necessarily see something every week. You might see weeks where we've got a ton of new stuff. Or I think we're, one way that we hopefully can be of value to people reading it is we're fortunate to be in the position where we get to see a lot of gear. And that's another thing we can do with this, right? So I think there's been plenty of times in the last 8 years when we've seen something, we think that's cool, but there's nothing for us to do with it. Now there's something for us to do with it because we can say, even if it's not something we're adopting into our own workflows, we have a way to tell people, hey, you know what? We heard about this great new thing. We got one. We tested it out. And it's great for these uses, right? So it allows us to pass on more information than we were able to before, which hopefully helps people.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Lance has got it queued up. Adding it to
right.
the stream. There we go.
Scrolling.
Yay, the scroll.
Yay, it's working. Okay.
Thank you, Lance.
All right. So where do we want to start?
Well, Matt, what were you going to show?
I was going to that's the graphic that I was talking about. I was just complimenting you. I really like that graphic a lot. So
thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thanks.
Didn't know where I was going to go next. I was probably just going to hop over to the gear blog. So.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the compliment. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Yeah. Right. So yeah, if you want to learn more about why we're doing this and all that, go read the main blog post. But the meat of what this is about is right here. This is the gear blog, a little more visual, just focusing on the product. And these write-ups are not very long. Like the idea is we just want to get to the point of, what these things are good for. But here's a better way to describe it. It's really what problems do they solve? Because photography gear, they're tools, right? And tools are built to accomplish a task, to solve a problem. And that's how we approach this. So all 5 of these that we started with and all the ones that we do going forward, that's what we're after. What night photography problem does this particular tool solve? And we started with 5. We wanted to, put 5 out there right at the beginning. And 3 of them are, they're tools that you're probably, if you follow us, if you read our blog, if you've been in our workshops, there's 3 tools here that you're already familiar with. The Gitzo tripod, we love the Gitzo tripod. Photo Pills, it's funny, Photo Pills gives away a license at all of our workshops, and it's gotten to the point where everybody already has it. So everybody's already got, but what Photo Pills is. And of course, the Coast HP7R is like our workhorse, has been our workhorse flashlight for a long time. But then we put in 2 things that we have not talked about before on the blog, and I don't even know that we've had them on workshops. But they're 2 things that Lance has been using a lot and testing out, and that you like a lot. So why don't you talk about those lights?
Okay, well let's start with the focus on stars here. So somebody mentioned already that we had previously mentioned another Baton Off filter, which is a focusing aid you put in front of a lens, and it helps you to achieve critical focus at infinity on stars. And the Baton Off filter is a device that's been used with telescopes and astronomers, and it was developed for long focal length telescopes primarily. And they've been tried for photography, but they generally don't work very well for short focal length or wide angle lenses that we use in astro landscape photography or Milky Way photography, if you will. And this one is really different in that it's considerably easier to use, and it works well with lenses all the way down to about 14 millimeters. So I used it with the IRIX 15 and managed to make it work quite well. Yeah, it is better with a longer focal length lens, and so basically the concept of the filter is that it's based on diffraction, and it's
Can you
a
click on that, Lance? I want to see that bigger.
yes.
Nice.
So all of the stars in the sky will get these three pairs of little diffraction lines, and you can see the brightest stars, well, it's really obvious, and all the little ones, it's to a lesser degree. So imagine if you are with a really wide angle lens, then even the bright stars are going to be a very small part of the screen. And that's what makes the Baton Off filter difficult to use with wide angle lens. I don't know what is different or unique about this one, but I know that it was designed by a photographer specifically for wide angle lenses. So the way that it works is you put it in front of your lens, you turn on live view, you navigate to the brightest star or planet or even a point light source like street light in your frame, and then you magnify to 100%. And what you get are these three pairs, an X with then a vertical line in the center of diffraction lines. And when you change the focus on the lens, the center pair, the vertical one, moves from left to right. And when it's exactly in the center, like it is here, then your image is perfectly sharp focus. I've only used one other one before. It was the Sharp Star, and it was helpful with, I'd say, it was fine with a normal lens or a slight wide angle, maybe a 35 or a 28. But once you got to real wide angle lenses, it was very difficult to see and use, and I found that it wasn't really worth the extra time of putting this thing on front of the camera to use it. But the focus on stars I think it's a different story. And who it's for, if you struggle getting accurate focus, and even if you sometimes get good focus and sometimes you don't, but if you're not confident in the field and you're really not sure if you've got your focus, then this is a way to gain a little bit of extra assurance in the field and feel confident that you've got a good image. I generally, so here, when this is not the right tool, I would say if you don't have a problem focusing, or you use a different focusing method. So let's say, like, I typically use hyperfocal focusing because I want something sharp in the foreground. So in that case, this maybe isn't the right tool for you. But if you're somebody who is constantly struggling and never really sure if you've got it, and you end up losing a lot of shots or having to go back and reshoot stuff because it's not sharp, this is a good idea. The tool comes in two different sizes. It fits in. It's a square filter. It fits in standard any slide-in filter holder. And there's one of the things I really like about this product. It's created by an individual, designed by an individual, and he's really great about sharing techniques and useful information about how to use this. He's even designed a budget-friendly filter holder for wide-angle lenses with a bulbous front element, like the 14 to 24 or my 15 to 30 Tamron that's got that bulbous front. And you can buy a filter holder for it, but if it's like $200 and it takes a huge amount of real estate in your bag. So Gabor, it's a Hungarian product, and Gabor has on his website a information, and I think he even has a tutorial, if not directions, about how to make a budget filter holder for those super wide angle lenses. So it's a cool product. I don't use it all that often because I don't typically focus at infinity. I'm more typically using hyperfocal focusing. But it's definitely something that will help a lot of the people in our workshop. So that's why we wanted to put this on here uh, on the Gear blog as one of our initial products.
Lance, I think that was a really good explanation of what to expect from that. I think one thing that might be hard to visualize is how that star changes. You did a good job describing it. I know what it looks like. If anybody's interested in this and you're a little fuzzy on how to tell when it's not fuzzy, Lance put the link in here too, right there. And the Focus on Stars put together a video on how to use it, and this shows exactly what you're looking for when you look through that filter.
Yeah, and this is a longer promotional video, but there's actually on the homepage of the website, there's just a short, like 10-second looping. It's maybe even a GIF. Actually, it might be an animated GIF that goes back and forth and shows those vertical diffraction lines moving back and forth, and it's really clear to see that it pops into place. So
cool.
So, all right. So the other product that we were going to talk about tonight is this. We've all talked about Coast flashlights, and we've all been using them for years and love them for a number of reasons. They're really excellent pieces of equipment. But we recently had the opportunity to try out some of the lead lenser flashlights, which used to be distributed by Coast. It's a German company, but they are doing their own distribution right now. And we got a number of different flashlights. I think a couple of you guys prefer the smaller one of these, the lead lenser P2R work, which is a little pen light flashlight.
Dave likes that one a lot.
Yeah. And this is the one that resonated with me, and to me, this fills a lot of what I'm looking for in a flashlight. It's got a color rendering index, or a CRI, which is basically an indication of the quality of the light, the amount of the visible light spectrum that comes through the light source. Most LED flashlights are, in the 60 to 70, 75 range, and this one's actually 90. It has a color temperature of 4,000 degrees Kelvin. So it's really close to the 3850 that we typically use for astro landscape photographs on a starlight. So the quality of light right out of the bag is better than what you get from most LED lights. It has a zoomable head with no bright spot in the center. Just like our Coast flashlights, it goes from a wide, even beam to a narrow, tight beam with no bullseye effect. It's just a tight spotlight. So there's a plus there. It comes with a number of, I think, 6 different settings. There's like 3 flash or strobe settings, plus low, medium, and high. The low setting is only 15 lumens. So as most flashlights are really too bright to use for astro landscape photography, and that's why low-level landscape lighting with LED panels has become so popular. But for those who like the old school way of working with light painting rather than a fixed stationary light and position, we've been pretty limited, and sticking pieces of tissue paper and neutral density gels in front of our lights and so forth to try to dim them down. Well, this one, the low setting is 15 lumens, and this front bezel here screws off, and you can actually put filters behind that if you choose to. I found 15 lumens was even a little bit too bright for ISO 6400 f2.8. So in my light, I've got 2 stops of neutral density in there, and it's not taped onto the front of the bezel. It's actually inside under this black hood on there. So it's permanent. It doesn't come off. It doesn't move around. It's just like really fixed in place. But for me, what sealed the deal with this flashlight is that it's programmable. Without any programming, it automatically remembers your last used setting. So if you want to use the low power 15 lumen setting and you turn your flashlight off and you turn it back on again, it's going to come back on at that low power rather than at the super bright where most flashlights come on at the brightest setting. So that's super handy, right? In addition to that, you can program it. And what I've done is I've programmed it to turn off all of the flashing and the blinking settings, the SOS mode and the strobe mode and, whatever the other, we don't use those as photographers. So why would you want to have to cycle through those? So I've got the lowest setting and the medium setting, and they're the only ones that come on. So when I turn my light on, it comes on at the low setting, and it goes up to the next setting, and then it goes off, or it goes back down again, and it goes off. I turn back on, and it comes back on to the low setting because that's what I want and that's what I use. Because if you are out in the field and you've got a 20-second exposure at 6400, you don't have time, or you don't want to be cycling through all those settings. So anyway, I think that's a really cool feature and function of this flashlight, and it's honestly it's become my go-to light because of that feature. So let's say, who did I say it's not for? I don't know. The downside of it is it's a relatively expensive light. It's about $150. So that's a pretty good investment for a flashlight. But other than that, to me, it really is most of what I'm looking for in a flashlight.
I think the other point you made there could be really important, is really important to some people, and that's the weight and the size. If you're just, even in a national park, if you're shooting primarily from the car or just short works, it's not a big deal. But for somebody who backpacks to their locations, this is probably not the flashlight, because people like that are trying to save every ounce and every inch they can. So in that case, even if you wanted to stick with this brand, you could use that one that Gabe likes, which is the P2, right? But yeah, this is not a lightweight model. It's certainly not the most portable flashlight you could find.
Yeah, it's about I don't know, 12 ounces maybe. So it's not huge. But the one that Gabe likes, the P2R work light, is literally a pen light and a third the size of this one, but it doesn't have that removable front end. So the 15 lumen low end is the lowest you can get out of it. You can't if you put a gel in front of it, it's going to be taped onto the front end. But it's a trade-off, and what we want to do with this blog is give people the information to make the choice for themselves. We're not saying this is, this product is the best one to have, but it works for these reasons, and these are the limitations why you might not want to use it. So.
And I imagine Gabe's going to write one of these about the P2R. So you'll get to hear why he likes that one.
Yeah.
Hey, Lance, let me ask you, because I have this flashlight and I haven't used it nearly as much as you have, and I haven't programmed it. How do you program it? Do you
how do you program?
Do you tether it to a computer and use an app, or do you have to go through pushing buttons in a certain order? How do you do that?
Yeah, there's basically what you have to do is go on the Lead Lenser website and download the PDF user manual.
Okay. So PDF user manual for a flashlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it doesn't have any extra controls on it. It's just, one button right there,
Okay.
on and off, and it's pushing the button and holding it for a number of seconds until it pulses a couple of times, and going through a series of steps like that. So I don't remember offhand. I did it when I set up the light. I did it once, and I've got it the way I want it. So that information has passed away, but it was a pretty straightforward process, and it took all of 5 minutes to do it once. But the thing to do was definitely ledlenser.com and download the instruction manual, which was easy and easy to follow.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm posting
And definitely worth the effort too.
to that right now. So it just ended up in the chat. So I sent everybody a link to where to find that download.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
All right. So, Chris, do we have any other upcoming products that are going to be launched soon on the Gear blog that you know of?
No. Only because we are just a little bit busy.
We are
working on another project. Yeah. We get this thing called the Night Photo Summit that's been taking up pretty much all of our days. So we made it a point to get this Gear blog out, and it's out. And I'm sure there's going to be times when we're just flooding it with new material, but that's not going to be this week.
I think we should put a Night Photo Summit ticket on the Gear blog. It's a useful piece of equipment, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking of gear and the Night Photo Summit, we actually we haven't officially broadcast it yet, but we have added 3 new talks to the Night Photo Summit, and they all happen to be sponsored. So that's worth mentioning, right? Let's see, what are they? There's BenQ, right? BenQ's got talk photography monitors and color management by our good buddy Art. He's doing that one. And B&H is sponsoring a talk. Michael Hollander is speaking on the essential gear for night photographers. And he's a great person to do it because he does night photography, he does national parks, and he works for B&H. So he just knows like all the gear that's out there. And then Glenn Tilliard and Alex McGregor, they're being sponsored by Move, Shoot, Move, and they're going to be talking about getting the sharpest stars, whether in a still photo or time lapse. So all 3 of those are going to be really good talks to look forward to.
Yay, my scrolling's back.
Hey!
Yay! Yeah. Good. So you'll be able to find all these things on the website. As we add things, you're going to be able to see them show up here. So this is a living, breathing thing. The website, just go ahead and check in on the schedule. That's where we're at right now. If you're curious about speakers or sponsors, the sponsors are over here. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. But the giveaways page is also growing too, right?
Yeah, that's what they want to hear about, Matt.
Yeah, I can't believe how many giveaways we have. There's over 80. It's just crazy. And some of this stuff is just so generous. I mean, IREX is giving away a lens. BenQ is giving away a monitor. Yeah, there's some really great stuff in here.
It warms my heart. So,
and then the speakers too. Keep scrolling down and look at all the stuff that the speakers are giving away.
LED lens right there. P6Rs and P4Rs. Look at this. Yeah.
All right. So look at Colleen. Look at how much stuff.
Gosh.
Yeah. When she sent this in, I actually emailed her and I said, "Do you mean people get a choice between these?" And she's like, "Oh no, one of each." It's like, wow.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Autumn's giving away prints.
Yep.
That's
She's
wonderful.
a Bay Photo ambassador, and she's working with them to give away some prints.
Speaking of prints,
yeah, I'm also giving away prints,
and so is Lance.
Lance's too.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that vintage. Oh, tell me about the vintage, Lance. How vintage?
Well, vintage in that it is a film image printed close to the time when it was shot. I have not selected it yet, but it's probably going to be from the 90s.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
90s.
Nice. I looked like Eddie Vedder back then.
I looked like a
true.
kid back then.
I could show you pictures. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, you know what? Let's take this opportunity to mention one more thing about the summit.
Yeah.
So we just said there's 3 new talks that we're announcing. There's going to be a few more talks that we're announcing, and this is not on the website yet. So this will be the first time we're mentioning this publicly, but the International Dark Sky Association just came on board, and they're going to be doing a talk as well as having a virtual exhibitor booth during the show where you can chat with their representative. So we're really excited about that. We've been wanting to work with them for a while, so it's going to be cool.
Yep. That's super exciting. I'm looking forward to doing that more stuff with them. I had the opportunity to spend some time speaking to Betty Maya Foote over at the Nightscaper conference last year.
Great.
It was good to get to know her there. And Steve is telling us, of course, he's going to be in the MSM booth for any tracking questions. So,
yep. And we've just mentioned that twice now, so it's not on the website yet, but the sponsors are going to have virtual exhibitor booths this year where you can get information on the products, you can chat with their reps, and at least a couple of them are planning on doing a presentation in their booth during the lunch breaks.
Yep. And you can even, it's not just chat. There's the ability to do video chat in the sponsor booth. So if you guys really wanted to have an actual conversation with a human being about things you're considering, you can do that. So that's going to be a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
And if you guys hadn't seen it, on the homepage, there's a few videos, right? One of the videos you might see, but this, if you wanted to see all the title cards for all of the talks, this video is here. There's the last blog chat that we did right here where we talk about the whole thing in depth for an hour. And up top, there's that ugly guy. So, we've seen that a bunch of you have signed up. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for considering it. And for those of you who are on the fence, what are you waiting for? If you have questions, of course, just let us know. We'd love to talk to you about it. So, new things developing every day. And how many days away are we?
9, 10.
9 or 10. It's coming up fast.
It's getting close.
Yeah. It's going to be here before we know it.
And gone.
I'm looking forward to it. It was a lot of fun last year it was just a lot of fun. So it's a lot of work, but it's worth all of it. And it's going to be a great time.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say thanks for putting together the gear blog. I look forward to contributing to it. I know that I was the one pushing for it. I'm sorry I wasn't there in the beginning with blog posts.
You're going to be there plenty later.
I got things I want to write up.
So
this will probably be one of the first things I write up. So I have to.
That's the dew heater from MSM.
Yeah, this is the dew heater from.
Cool.
I love this thing, and it's the right time to be using it too. It's cold out there.
Yeah.
So
cold. Not for Jay Jeffries in the Bahamas.
Poor Jay.
He has no use for the dew heater.
Still might have some humidity, He reaches dew point even if it is 75 degrees.
Good point. Good point. Yep. All right. Well,
all right.
I guess it's a short one tonight. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for hosting as always, Matt. Thanks to all of you for tuning in.
Absolutely. Thanks for reading the blog, and look forward to seeing you again.
Seize the night, everybody. We'll see you around.
Good night.